You have found the Redhead Family Therapy Guy and a Mic podcast, looking at mental health through a pop culture lens.
So we're going to be talking about knowing thyself and learning to, care about thyself or, love yourself, right? Mm-hmm. This is a common thing. This is a common theme. We hit this very central thing with emotional regulation in our first episode. And this one, it's like, all right, what are these key things? And knowing yourself is really a key aspect of health.
Definitely.
And so when we throw that out there, what's the idea of what do you think as a therapist? Do you orient yourself in this way when you work with your clients? What do you think it means to know yourself?
Well, I think a lot of things, but I think knowing myself, I think to some degree has to do with attachment, right? So am I securely attached? Am I not? How do I perceive events, right? How do I perceive things, interactions in my life? Do they weigh down on my worth or my value, or am I able to regulate? Am I able to deal with those things without allowing them to play into my value or my worth? I think some of those things come
to your mind. So attachment is an aspect. So when you're thinking about clients and how their confidence or their sense of resilience, you're jumping to attachment thoughts.
Probably. I think it depends on what they're coming with. So typically when I'm thinking know thyself or where they're at, I'm probably listening to what is the rhetoric they're giving me. What are they saying? What are their concerns?
Like the problem talk.
Yeah. How are they coping? And then I think from that I'm developing is where is the concern? Is there self-worth? Is there a negative self-view? Is there some story that they've developed of inadequacy? I'm looking a lot of times for that. And I think a lot of times I do attach or connect that to maybe attachment issue, attachment injuries.
That's where you jump with when you see that people struggling with that sense of
confidence. A lot
of
of the times, and not all the time. It just depends.
Yeah, I think it's so integral, because my favorite stuff to do, or my real wheelhouse, I feel like in therapy that I really, really enjoy, is working with couples. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me a huge part of having a healthy relationship is having a strong sense of where is my trauma, where is my weakness, where is my insecurity, where is my need. That's a lot of times what I'll work when I work with a couple and they're getting into their whole fight cycle or dynamic. In the EFT, what's the language about identifying that?
So the tango.
The tango, right? So when I'm conceptualizing of the tango, one of the things I'm thinking about is how well, because the tango, correct me if I'm wrong because you've done more EFT stuff, is about helping the spouse understand emotionally what's going on for the individual, right?
Yeah, it's like the dance of the relationship. It's the cycle, the attachment cycle that's going on, and helping that come to life so that we can see that, hey, maybe it's not the anger that's really the issue or the criticism, the pokes that are the issue, but maybe there's something underneath that.
The rejection.
Maybe there's pain and hurt underneath that. And if we can bring that to the forefront, which is scary, right? That's not the easy
terrifying
part.
Right.
But if we can bring that to the forefront, then maybe the tango can result in connection,
right,
which creates or breeds healing, right?
Right, because essentially what comes out of that work is, oh, I get it.
Yes, for both.
And mm-hmm. If I'm talking about it, I have what's that called? Felt experience or felt?
Yeah. So,
what I'm talking about?
Felt
sense of security, mm-hmm, or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's this idea of, I have the emotional experience that you get it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you're negotiating for in this fight cycle, right? And so, before I had any exposure to EFT, I was noticing okay, well, if I'm going to communicate what my need is, or that's
mm-hmm.
that's what we're fighting about, right? We're fighting about me trying to get my needs met. But if I don't know
exactly
what I need, if I don't know what my problem is,
yes.
It's so funny.
Well, and that's where the criticism and the pokes come from,
and the defensivism and all that.
Because that's easier to that's easier to say that's the issue.
To blame.
Then yeah, it's easier for me to say, John, you're an a-hole, and why do you keep
Jerk.
doing this? Get it,
You never
get it
always-
right, man. Like fix it. It's easier for me to say that than
Right.
to say, I feel so horrible. Like I feel like I'm not enough. I
Right.
feel like there's nothing I could do that could be enough for you. Like
Right.
I'm a bad person. How could you love me?
Right.
And I'm scared. I'm alone. And it's scary to say that because what if your spouse says, well,
Yeah. Oh,
That's
you
scary.
figured it out.
yeah. and
the
so we
thing-
don't.
So the
right?
thing I started laughing about is because it's interesting how many times I'll be in a session and I'll slow it down and I'll say, I'll get the client to recognize that they're trying to get a need met, and
Yeah.
I'll say, well, what do you need? And they'll be like, I don't know.
I need my spouse to stop screwing around.
Right,
Like
it's
I
like,
need
no,
them to care more about me, or I need them to do this or do that.
The thing that's hilarious is like they'll be like, I don't know, and it's like, okay, well,
Sure.
you want them to love you, but you don't even like. Well,
Yeah.
what do you need, right? And so that's that first step. That's where I'm going. Or my thought process was this: is like, to cultivate a healthy relationship or to
So
have
awareness.
awareness of what is my thing.
Sure.
Like what is my wound or
Yeah,
what is my
that's
insecurity?
good.
Because here's the thing, like we are all going about projecting that all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is something that was I guess I can talk about my marriage. Hopefully my wife can criticize me later, I guess, but but like I came to realize that at some point, like, oh, I feel so my thing, I'll just be vulnerable. Like my thing is like feeling invisible.
Yeah.
Right. Like, growing up with the family struggles that were in my family, older brother, parents got divorced when I was a senior in high school. And so like feeling like I wasn't seen, that I wasn't valued, and so I feel invisible. And so there are these times in our relationship, and like I'm feeling invisible. That's coming up because of whatever buttons are being pushed for me, insecurity or stress of we were poor or struggling in graduate school or whatever it was. And so I project that and go after my wife for a need, but like I have to realize, like, is that about the relationship, or I'm feeling stressed somewhere else in my life, and then I'm going to the relationship and projecting that insecurity, that fear onto the relationship. And there might be something going on in the relationship that's relevant to, but not like the way that I describe it to the clients. It's like, okay, you're feeling abandoned, right? And you had a fight and your spouse like went out the door, right? But like how much of that pain of abandonment is about what happened in this moment? Like you were going after him, like he was getting angry and he decided to like step out of the conversation, and maybe he could have said, which would always be good, I need to take a break for a minute. Can we come back in a half an hour? I'm going to go out. I can't do this right now. But, so then, I feel abandoned. He left. It's like, but you feel abandoned too. Like you're getting divorced. Nobody ever is there for you. And it's like, well, you had a fight. He just, he needs a half an hour to chill out so he doesn't say something stupid. He realizes that. But you're feeling it to a 10, but what is going on is like a 4. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's this notion of being aware, like, where is this coming from? And that's often where we go back and dive into, well, what's going on for you? What's your history here, right?
Yeah. Understanding what is your self-view saying and what are you believing? What are you believing to be real? And are you able to differentiate or to notice that this is maybe a self-belief versus what's actually happening in the relationship?
In the relationship.